What a beast. It's awesome.
He's a big old brute of a deer. Holy cow. Our season just did a 180.
That's it. It's over.
He's even bigger than I thought he was. Holy cow.
He is by far the biggest homebody on the farm. I mean, he's on every single camera.
Boy, that deer, that's cool. I mean, that's a bonus buck for sure.
The 2016 season was our best ever. Seemingly everyone shot great bucks. I shot the 2 best bucks on my farm, but now I have a dilemma. There were no obvious up-and-comers to fill the holes they left. Heading into 2017, I'm trying to decide which bucks to go after. In addition to the shortage of clear shooters, the summer drought is ravaging my plots, leaving the farm nearly void of food. Despite concern, 2 bucks rise to the top of the list. One is a big 8-pointer that I filmed back in October of 2016, but have not seen since. The other is an old buck I creatively named the Wide 10. That buck has been living on the same part of the farm for at least 3 years. With these 2 targets in mind, I grab my trail cameras and start the patterning process. 100 miles to the east, Mike Reed and Jared Mills also begin their preparation for the season. Both are optimistic given the number of mature bucks in their hunting area. Mike Reed has lots of options each fall, on a farm he owns, on one he only manages, and even in the urban zone near his home. That is where he starts his 2017 season.
Well, it's Sunday, September 17th. It's the second day of the urban zone hunt. It's about 5:30 in the afternoon. I've been set up for about 30 minutes or so, and I'm not exactly where I wanted to be. When I went to the area I normally hunt, there was another hunter, so I just backed off a couple hundred yards and did a hanging hunt on this oak flat. It's nice this afternoon compared to yesterday. The high is about 70, and the air feels cool, so hopefully deer will be moving. There's a lot of activity in the neighborhood. You know, kind of got a neighborhood up to the east and one to the west. A couple hundred yards, you can hear a lot of people playing, which the deer are used to, but we'll see. I'm not used to this spot. This isn't exactly how I would predict the deer to move, but I think with the acorns all over the ground, I might still get lucky. I'm just going to sit till dark and see if I can't have a doe come by. Usually the hunting slows down quite a bit after opening weekend, so I try to get out during the week some. And a lot of times I'm not fighting other hunters that way, so this is a public hunt, and there's at least 40 hunters that participate in the city, so there's not a ton of ground. So we kind of all run into each other quite a bit opening weekend, but it is what it is. It was about 6 o'clock, and I just saw my first 2 deer. And they're just kind of working their way across this oak ridge, feeding. And something spooked them, I'm not sure what. My wind is blowing down here into the bottom. And when they took off, they ran up to the back of the house where all the kids are playing, so. I also heard a deer sneeze or cough down here in the bottom, so I'm hoping in the next few minutes that the movement really picks up and I can get one at bow range. We'll see. That's pretty exciting and unexpected. I mean, I never see bucks down in here early season. And I saw 2 young bucks walking over the hill there, and then this deer just walking down the ridge, and it looks like a mature buck. And he came to the base of the tree, looked right up at me. Couldn't figure out what it was, and then kept walking here, so. He's down at 30 yards. I've never shot one this early in September in the urban zone, so it's kind of cool to be able to do that. Get down here in a minute and go check him out.
That's crazy.
Well, here he is. Nice urban buck. Mainframe 10 with a little extra point at the base of his right G2. Good browse. Pretty cool to shoot a buck this early. This was a impromptu hanging hunt. I mean, I just kind of picked an easy tree and was hoping that I'd get a doe out of it, so there wasn't a lot of scouting or preparation or stand site picking based on knowledge of deer movement, but pretty cool to have him come right to the base of the tree and give me an easy shot. Ran about 30 yards and fell over. I'm really excited. It's fun to get a buck down this early on September 17th.
Good optics are critical to bow hunting success. Mike Reed used his Nikon Monarch binoculars to identify the source of movement that turned out to be 2 young bucks. Keeping his attention focused in that area, Mike was ready when a mature buck followed shortly after. With its heavy foliage and dark timber conditions, early season hunting requires a sight with bright aiming points. On this hunt, Mike Reed chose the Fuse Cybex single pin slider because of its super bright, long coiled fiber and its super accurate single pin set dead center in the housing. HOYT has been a standard of the bow hunting community for more than a generation. Each year the company designs bows that are more accurate and more dependable than the year before. RedWorks is their most recent offering to carry on this legendary standard. For more than 40 years, Wasp Archery has been making durable and dependable broadheads. They set the standard for the industry when they invented the first replaceable blade broadhead in 1972. This family-owned brand is built on a generation of innovation and continues to be made right here in the United States. Wasp offers a broadhead model for every style of bow hunting. Check them out at wasparchery.com. By the time October rolls around, I'm chomping at the bit to go after the wide 10. He has been consistently showing up on my camera during legal hunting hours. Unfortunately, my enthusiasm gets the better of me, and I push a fickle wind and spook a field full of does. The wide 10 is a no-show. Frustrated and discouraged, I head to a different stand the next evening, hoping to shoot a doe.
So we're trying to manage our impact at a time when we're still hunting. I'm in the tree stand the next night now. This is the night after my fiasco on the wide 10. It's just a doe hunting mission. We picked a spot that we didn't feel like our impact was going to make any difference to the long-term outcome of the hunting season. This is close to a bedding area. They step out in here with plenty of daylight. I mean, we've got 2.5 plus hours of daylight left, and these deer have been out here for 20 minutes already. Not any of them now. Let me see how far that one is. 35. I've got her. The one that's right on the edge of the trees? Yeah. You got her? Yeah. I'm pretty sure that she went down just out of sight from where I couldn't, she went over a little bit of a hill and back through some brush, but I think she went down right there. It looked like a good hit.
"250 miles to the southeast, in southern Illinois, Jim Scherer is also getting daylight photos of his top buck. This is the event we all wait for during the early season, a buck on a daylight pattern. As soon as the wind is right, Jim makes an aggressive move.
Matt and I are in here. We're hunting a buck. It's a nice 10-pointer, probably mid-140s. And he's been on my camera very consistently. Yesterday he showed up at 4 p.m. very, very early, so it's a little bit before 3 right now. We got in the stand without spooking any deer, so I'm pretty confident that we're going to see something this evening.
Meh, meh.
He went in to the thicket, and we thought he was gone. A deer actually snorted somewhere over in that area. I was hoping he would come back out, and he did. It's been like a half hour. We're gonna give him a few minutes and get down and go ahead and see what the arrow looks like and the beginning of the blood trail. That was exciting. The poor man's food plot was successful once again. This is the second nice buck that I've taken there. And Matt Margrave is with me videoing, and we've hunted together for probably 15 years, and everything worked out perfect this time. And like I said, I was rewarded with this beautiful 10-pointer.
I've been using Easton arrows since I started bow hunting in 1980. On this hunt, I was using the 5mm full metal jacket because I feel it is the perfect weight for whitetail hunting, and the small diameter penetrates well and drifts less in a crosswind. On this sit, Jim was hunting over a Frigid Forage Pure Trophy Clover microplot. This seed blend works well in almost any situation, including shaded areas like Jim's. With the buck consistently feeding in the plot during daylight, Jim was able to make a plan and see it through, tagging his #1 buck. After you have done all you can to reduce the odors on your clothing and on your body, the next logical step is to do all you can to reduce the odors in the air. That is where the ozonics units come in. The ozone emitted drops down over your scent stream and destroys a large amount of the odor molecules that remain. Cabela's offers a wide range of footwear that accommodate all types of hunting, from early season spot and stalk to late season stand hunting. What you wear on your feet has almost as much to do with your success as what you carry in your hands. With an industry-leading lifetime warranty, our choice in footwear is simple: Cabela's.
An early October cold front triggered a flurry of activity on Jared's trail cameras, with the result that one of his top bucks, one he named Reggie, started making his first daylight appearances. Now hoping to finally lay eyes on the buck, 3 days later, Jared heads to a spot on the fringe of Reggie's core area.
Well, it's the morning of October 13th, and Josh and I are settled into a spot that we've had a lot of good sits together over the years. The buck in particular that we're going in after in this spot is Reggie Jackson, Mr. October. So far he's been pretty active in this plot, and especially in the mornings, which is the main reason I decided to come in here. He's a deer that past 2 years I've had pictures of him basically from July and August through about mid-October, and then he's gone until the following July and August. So that's happened 2 years in a row. Obviously we're getting close to that mid-October time frame, so it'll be really interesting to see what he does as a 5.5-year-old, if he decides to stick around longer or not. So we'll see what happens. Gonna sit back and wait for the deer movement to pick up. it's about 9 o'clock and we're about to wrap up our hunt, even though about 10-15 minutes ago we just had a mature buck that I have a lot of pictures of walk through the plot. He's a deer that's been hanging out quite a bit with that buck I call Reggie, but it was cool to see him. Probably halfway through the hunt, we could hear a deer thrash in a tree and could hear it paw on the ground. And I could just get small glimpses through the pines of two bucks kind of sparring and grooming each other for a little while. Cool to see a buck up on his feet around 9 a.m. on October 13th. So we're going to start packing things up and head down and potentially make a game plan for either later today or tomorrow.
That same day, I head back after the wide 10. The conditions are better now, cooler, and with the necessary north wind.
Behind me is that small food plot where I've been getting photos of the buck that we're calling the wide 10. He's a really old buck, and I'd love to get a crack at that deer. I've been kind of, waiting for the right conditions to come back in here again. We got a wind out of the northeast, which blows in this direction. He's been, as far as I can tell, coming out mostly on the other side of that food plot, so we're hoping he comes out and works his way this way tonight. The action started out pretty fast. We weren't even up in the tree yet. We had a doe and two fawns work almost into bow range. Just a few more steps and a broadside turn, and I would have had my first arrow shot of the day.
"40 miles to the west, Caleb and Taylor Byers are also into their season. It will be hard to top the giant buck Caleb shot in 2016, but amazingly, he knows of one that is even bigger. Playing his cards close to the vest, Caleb is quiet about his number one buck, a deer he calls the goat. This buck is a long shot, rarely appearing in Caleb's hunting area. As they wait for the goat to make his first appearance on the trail cameras, Caleb and Taylor take advantage of the same cold front I am hunting, focusing on another great buck, one that they saw 3 days earlier.
Well, we're hunting a redneck blind tonight that we normally don't even hunt until late season. We leave the crops right here in front of us. We hunted directly over my shoulder the other night, and we had Gimp come out, and he bedded in this draw that kind of runs along here. So, there's definitely a good shot that he could come out of this draw and work his way right to this ryegrass, because it's the most tender thing on the farm right now. So I'd say he's our highest odds target, which really surprised me, because last year he was here for the summer and he completely moved. So I'll quit rambling on and we'll get quiet here, and hopefully it's a good evening. Dude, there's a buck right here. I think it's Gimp. Well, we have about 35 minutes of light left, and we actually just seen the buck that we came in here to hunt. I'm definitely on him. If we can put the pieces together and get the right wind, the right setup, I think we'll be able to put him on the ground this year. We just have to get everything to align. So if he keeps bedding in the same spot, we'll have a pretty good shot at that. But it's been a good sit overall. We've seen several deer, and like I said, we got 35 minutes left. So hopefully, with a little luck, he'll end up coming right along this edge and present us with a shot. So we'll see what happens then. That is my number one target deer right there. This happens every year. The day before muzzleloader, we have two bucks in muzzleloader range. The top two on the farm. That is a legend right there. We just had a buck we call split route come out, and he's our number one target deer on the farm. He's 7.5 years old this year, and he's been on the farm ever since we bought it. We can date back to 2014, the year we bought the farm. We had 2 encounters with him that year. What thing is that? Look at this.
split brow bug. Yeah, it says split brow bug. I don't think he's as old as I thought he was. Yeah. I'm not gonna shoot him. Yeah.
The following year, when he was 5, I actually shot this buck and hit him high. He dropped about a foot, and I ended up hitting him in that dead zone. Never recovered him. Obviously, he's healthy as can be. 2 years later now, we see him again. We never laid eyes on him last year, and I hunted him every chance I got, right in this exact same spot late season. It was a great night, and I feel great about seeing 2 of our target bucks. No, we weren't able to put any of them on the ground, but the observation set was definitely a success, and we might be right back in here come muzzleloader season.
Versatility is one of the most important features of a good food plot seeder. It must be able to plant a wide range of seed sizes at a wide range of rates and place them in the ground at the correct depth for each application. The RTP Genesis is ideal in each of these regards. Versatility is one of the things we like most about this seeder. No one really thinks about mobility in their ground blind until it is too late. Having a good seat that allows you to pivot quickly and quietly to cover any window in the blind is a definite asset. That's why we use the REDNECK blind chair in all of our ground blind hunting. Staying comfortable and hydrated through long, sweaty days requires a class-leading cooler, one that can take the abuse of life in a pickup bed and still hold ice for days. That is why American-made Grizzly coolers go with us on every scouting trip. There are only 3 ways you can get busted in a tree stand. The deer can smell you, hear you, or see you. To reduce the chances of being seen, we wear the best camouflage we can. Realtree's open patterns perfectly blend into the hardwood timbers that we hunt. Back on my farm, the action is starting to heat up.
Maybe there's a buck behind her. There's a buck right here. See it?
That big 3-year-old with the split G2. He's gonna look really good in a couple of years.
My hunt ends with one of the best young bucks on the farm feeding comfortably 100 yards from the stand. Mature bucks are starting to show up in daylight now, and our excitement level grows by the day. Caleb and Jared's top bucks are starting to cooperate, and the wide 10 is still showing daylight activity on my cameras. October cold fronts produce some of the best action of the entire season, but we also look ahead. Each day now brings us closer to the ultimate payoff, closer to when we will be chasing November.